People who are critical thinkers are reflective. They are not going to be overly relying on these shortcuts. They are willing to think through problems. They are willing to use that system too to try to question our immediate assumptions and evaluate the evidence. And you're going to be looking at evidence that is not just the evidence that supports your position, but also evidence that supports an alternative position. Very hard to be a really good critical thinker because you have to essentially put aside your biases. You need to be able to make decisions that sometimes the decisions you make were not what you originally thought you were going to make. You may have to change your mind if the evidence does not support your pre-existing viewpoint. That's what critical thinkers do. That's what scientists do. With a scientist, if a scientist has a hypothesis and conducts research, and the hypothesis is not supported, and maybe they even do another run of the experiment and the same thing, the hypothesis is not supported, they have to step back and question their reasoning when it came to developing their hypothesis. And they have to kind of think about, well, why did I get this wrong? And they have to be able to accept that, hey, reality does not match what I thought it would be. This happens all the time in science. We often have surprising results in which the scientist who was doing the study got a result that was different from what he or she expected and had to change their theory. This is the way it works. This is the way it works. If the scientist was only using confirmation bias, they would find a way to show how their theory always works. Okay? It may work in politics, but it doesn't work in science. Mindfulness is another important characteristic of critical thinkers. They are alert and mentally present. Remember that system too, about being able to be effortful and processing information. You need to be at top level alertness in order to be using it. If you're just relying on system one, that automatic thing, you are not being mindful. You are just in la-la land, just automatically responding to the environment using your intuition rather than thinking through your actions. Now, there may be times in which that's fine to be in la-la land, but if you are trying to really pay attention to what's going on around you, that's being mindful. If you're not being mindful, you're going to miss a whole lot of things. Finally, another characteristic of critical thinkers is that they are open-minded. They are receptive to new ways of looking at things. They accept the possibility that they could be wrong, and they are open to changing their viewpoint if the evidence supports an alternative viewpoint. Being open-minded is crucial. Don't be stuck on your own view of the world and just be married to that. You need to be able to be willing to think differently and change your mind. And this is the kind of thing that we hope from our students as well. Students come into college and they have their pre-existing mindsets that they learn from their parents, they learn from their churches, they learn from their friends, they learn from television, and many of those things are accurate, but many of those things are not. And the critical thinker learns to evaluate the evidence to essentially decide whether what the information they're learning is accurate or not, and putting it to the test. Interestingly enough, our moods influence the way we think, and this also relates to System 1 and System 2. If we're in a bad mood, we're kind of like too inner focused and we're not really at our best. And when we're trying to solve problems, we're going to use that step-by-step System 2 process to solve the problems. Now, that's not a bad idea to go through that step-by-step process, but what it's doing is it's making it more effortful than perhaps it should be. In many ways, we can be thinking and processing information using both of our systems, integrating it, and being able to use both our intuition and our thought process, and our thought processes become less effortful actually when we become really motivated. So when you're in a bad mood, thinking takes work, and it feels like work. And you might be successful, and you're gonna have to step 1, step 2, step 3, but it ain't gonna be fun, and it's just gonna be a lot of work you gotta do. However, when you are in a good mood, on the one hand, you might be a little bit more likely to use those shortcuts to kind of keep your smile on your face and not bother with that. But oftentimes, if you're working on a complex problem that you are really into, that you really want to solve, and you're in a good mood, then you're going to put through that effort, and it's not going to seem so much like work. You're going to kind of go with and there's a term called flow, which represents this focused activity towards solving a goal that's using both System 1 and System 2. You're just paying, with a high level of alertness, and it doesn't even feel like you're creating any effort. You're just going with that flow. So it's a very good state to be in. So if you're in a good mood, you're more likely to be in that state of flow. If you're in a bad mood, you're not going to be in a state of flow. You're going to be trying to work through your problems, and it's going to be like suffering. If you're in a good mood, and if you're in that state of flow, then you're feeling like a genius, and you're feeling like you can really work through these problems, and the ideas are coming to you really fast, and good ideas, and you're really working hard, and you're working hard, but it doesn't feel like work. Hopefully, you can be in those states more often than not. Creative thinking. Creative thinking also occurs in that state of flow. You're much more likely to be showing your creative side when you're in that state of flow. Basically, we think about creative thinking. You're thinking of people who are divergent thinkers versus convergent thinkers. Divergent thinkers are people who are thinking about multiple solutions to a problem. Convergent thinkers they're looking for the right answer. They're looking for the correct answer. Now, you might find in the people you work with both divergent and convergent thinking. Now, there are tasks that require both. For example, if I give you a multiple choice question, the idea is to influence you to think convergently to find the one right answer. With a divergent task, it's more like, think about many different possible solutions, maybe an open-ended question where you can use your experience and use different ways of thinking to solve the problem. People who might be stuck in convergent thinking always think, there's always one right answer. They may get stuck in a single procedure that's always worked for them, and they don't want to think anything different. Divergent thinkers think about different possibilities. So creative thinkers, they can brainstorm, they can come up with new ideas a lot, they enjoy doing that. They have flexibility, they have a playful thinking, they enjoy being in that state of flow, by the way. They have an inner motivation, they want to be able to come up with great ideas. They enjoy doing this stuff, and again, it doesn't feel like work. They are willing to face risks, they're not afraid of that. And they're objective in their evaluation of work. They're not married to any particular one point of view. They're willing to be open-minded here. So creative thinkers have these characteristics.